Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier with a little politics ride. Don't worry, we're in a safe environment and everything is fine. So you can hear my voice. You don't need to see me, although I'm terribly good looking these days. So world politics, what do we say? What do we say about this situation, folks? We're going on, today was Thursday. Election day in America was Tuesday. I personally am being patient and I'm having respect for the people that are, I guess they're not volunteering. They are getting paid, I believe, minimum wage to be vote counters. I was mistaken, folks. I thought they were volunteers who were vote counters, but apparently they do get paid money. And that's fine. It's a job like anything else. And I don't know what the vetting process is. So all I can say for you folks that are out there, if you're thinking the fix is in or whatever, or any of you who thinks the fix is in or these ballots are not being counted properly, are you working for the ballot agency? Are you putting these overnight hours in or these late night hours, wearing a mask, which is terribly uncomfortable? And I want to pay my respects to all those out there that have jobs that require them to wear masks all day, because I know it's terribly uncomfortable. I feel your muffled pain. Look, folks, when I go out and about, I mask up, I wear the face shield, I try to stay outdoors as much as possible, I try to social distance as much as possible. However, I'm not required through my life to wear a mask for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours at a time, with breaks, I hope. And I do question, to be quite honest, as a segue, as a side note, I question if people are going to experience issues with this mask wearing. Now, I know that other people will jump in and say these other countries do that and so forth and so on and so forth and so on. I just don't like it, man. I really don't. And if this is the new normal, that everywhere you go, you're going to have to wear a fucking mask, I don't like it. I really don't. Now, there is an upside to the mask wearing, folks, beyond COVID. Apparently, the flu is down this year. I saw that as a tidbit, and I don't have the source right now off the top of my head. You can do the research. Going back to the matters at hand, 253 was the number for Biden, and then according to AP, I believe it's up to 264. It's another one of those deals depends on who you ask, depends on website or news source you go to at what time. I did see President Trump's speech tonight, and he didn't really sound, to me, folks, look, hey, history has a way of proving things in the right perspective. So unless it's proven that Trump was right, and QAnon and secret societies and all these things, and I'm not saying that some of this stuff doesn't exist, because, hey, I don't necessarily believe that JFK was shot by a single guy either. And it's a strange world we live in, folks, so anything's possible. But the reality is, to sell this story that President Trump's trying to sell, throwing fingers out of allegations, we need proof, man. And I'm not saying that he couldn't have a story to tell, but where's the proof? And when you, meaning the President of the United States, goes up on stage and he just is throwing out these allegations, let's have some real fucking proof. Give us a city, give us a town, give us an incident. And I'm sure someone out there is going to comment on some incident of some ballots being found on the side of the road. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong too, folks. I thought that particular story was in Michigan that was discredited. So, I mean, this is where the frustration comes, everybody. A story comes out, then people run with it, then the story gets discredited or disproven, but people don't change their mind. They say, oh yeah, we were taught some piece of bullshit they just go with what they heard in the first place. The first impression rule, like whatever your first impression of a topic is or a point, it's usually what people roll with. Here's the other thing, folks. A lot of people are getting very anxious and full of anxiety, and from my point of view in life, or my station in life, I probably don't need to have the anxiety as some other folks. However, guess what? As an empathetic person, I'm going to share in my country's anxiety. I'm going to share in the apprehension, the nervousness. Even my Republican friends, and yes, I do have Republican friends, plenty of them, and many of them are emotionally tied to Donald Trump for whatever the fuck reason. I do have family members that like Trump, and I can't explain it. Look, the guy, to me, was best as the Celebrity Apprentice host. He was the best as the WrestleMania host. He was... I gotta think, folks, and I could be wrong, this is not my life, that Donald Trump was happier fucking women and hosting WrestleMania and appearing at WrestleMania and being on the Celebrity Apprentice and having his own little Trumpian world, and this presidency, this delve into politics, and Trump defenders will say, oh, you know, he doesn't take money to be the president, you know. It's branding for him. He's branding his brand. He's getting his, you know, whatever the fuck. I mean, it's a bucket list thing almost. But I gotta think, and I'm trying to just put myself in his shoes. Was Trump happy doing all this stuff? I mean, you know, I read one of his books, The Art of the Deal. Apparently he didn't even write these books. But it was all about the deal, the negotiation, getting things done. I mean, that's what guys like him, to a much lesser extent Eric Bischoff, and to a lesser extent myself. Guys like that who like to get deals done, who like to make projects happen. It's not always about the money. It's not about the scope of the project. It's about getting something accomplished. So I get that thrill, the producer's thrill. I once again mentioned Dustin Hoffman, Wag the Dog. I want the credit. So I try to be empathetic or sympathetic to even Donald Trump. That's how humanitarian I am. However, we have to look at what's best for our country. And for me, it's personality over policy. And is Joe Biden the sharpest tool in the shed? No. Does he have a history of crap that's not so great? Look it up on YouTube. I've watched the videos. Yeah, he does, but he seems to be improving in his more recent years. And folks, you heard it here first or second or third. I still say that Biden's going to get into the office in somewhere between 6 months and 2 years, probably on the closer to 6 months, maybe in 4 months. No offense to Joe Biden, but I do believe he's going to step down and let Kamala Harris take over mid-term or early term, to be honest. I think for Jumpin' Joe, you know, he's a company man, and I mean that as a compliment in this case. He wants what's best for the country. He wants what's best for the Democratic Party. And I think there is a level of recognition within Joe, or at least I'd like to think so. So here's the other thing with me, folks. Sometimes I put myself in the shoes of these politicians or these worldwide celebrities, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. I think, what would I do if I were that person? And guess what? I'm not that person. You know what I mean? I'm not the person, and I have a different set of morals, ethics, values, common sense approach. What's the smart move? What that occurs to me doesn't always jive or reconcile with the individual of whom I'm speculating upon. Henceforth, were I to think that Joe, you know, it's kind of like if I were Joe Biden and I had just busted my ass to win the presidency, and then I could retire a hero and let Kamala do all the work, that's what I would do. Maybe that's what you would do. That seems like a smart thing to do, right? But someone else in my life, a friend, a family member, had said to me, well, Joe had run for president twice before, didn't win. Now he won. If he does win, it's a big if, folks. If he wins, he's going to relish it. Even in this time of crisis, even in this time of getting older like we all are, Joe Biden would relish this moment of being the president rather than step down for Kamala Harris. And maybe, once again, I'm not these people. Would Kamala pressure or want Joe to step down, given that she would be the first of many things, first woman vice president, first woman president, if she were to take that office? You could say first woman of color, so on and so forth and so on and so forth. Were she to do all that, first lady of Indian descent, was it Jamaican descent as well? Were she to take that presidency without being elected, would that be the way she would want it? I mean, you might make a case, or I might make a case, that Kamala and her motivational stance might want Joe to run for 4 years, or be president for 4 years, because then if he were to step down after the 4-year run and let her take the party nomination, then she would feel like maybe she earned it more. I mean, that's the type of Bob Backlund howdy-doody bullshit, that's like the Patriot giving up the Global Wrestling Federation television title because the guy had his foot on the rope in 1991. A little old school wrestling for you folks. So I'm just trying to help you out. I'm just trying to make you think. People, we talk about, and here's the thing, and you guys can comment, and ladies can comment. I see people on Facebook, there's tension, there's nervousness. Is it just that people want their person to win? Is it that? Are people feeling that their lives are directly affected? And I'm going to answer my own question, so don't get upset. I do feel that people feel their lives are affected. I do. In this particular case, it's easy for me, white guy America, to say, oh, it doesn't matter, the sun will come out tomorrow. But for some folks, friends of mine, they're going to feel directly affected or effected. Look into the difference. So who am I to judge, folks? Who am I to say what level of tension, anxiety, care, concern that anyone should have? Is it their own feelings of being threatened, threatened if one or the other wins, their style of life, or how they view America, or their safety? Who the fuck am I to say? See, that's the thing, folks, with getting a little bit older and wiser, a few gray hairs on the side of the head, is you realize that other people are coming at things differently than yourself. When I was a young man a few years ago, 18 years old, I would think that everybody's going to see the things the way that I should see them, and that the world should correspond to me, and that I'm the grand poobah of everything, and that the world should identify its life or its style or morality through how I see things. And as you get fucking older, folks, you realize that's just not true. I mean, everybody looks, the term is goggles. My friend Jason used the term goggles. We all see the world through a set of goggles, our own. However, as you get older, you realize that your goggles are not everybody's goggles. Your experiences, your history, your politics, your social stuff, your economics, the things that you hold dear. So, for instance, I'll give you one. A lot of people hold family. Well, ask them to get a little clear. They say, well, I need to spend time with my mother, my father, my 3 brothers, and my 2 sisters, and our cousins. You start saying that, I get nauseous, okay? What's important to you? Well, my wife and kids. Okay, what if someone doesn't have a wife and kids? Then what? Then it's not to say that they don't have morality or ethics, but they don't have the wife and kids. So what do they value? They might value solitude or quiet time or independence or meeting new people. Some people don't care to meet new people. There are people that I know, believe it or not, especially in the state of Rhode Island, New England, where they stick to the same people for decades, okay? To me, that's fucking nauseating. The same assholes in and out. Well, how are you going to grow? But for those fucks that believe like that, they want to keep their social circles tight. They feel comfort from that, or they feel that that's loyalty and that's a high value item on their menu of choice. And maybe that's not for me. Reunions, folks. Some people are into reunions. I personally don't give a fuck. If I wanted to keep in touch with you, I would have, or you would have. Why do we need this bullshit reunion to meet up with people you've tried to avoid for the last 15 years? You fucks. So these are all things that, as you go through life, you discover with each passing year and each gray hair on the temple that people value things differently. For a lot of people, here you go with the presidential shit again. The transfer of power, the smooth transition of power, or to quote everyone's asshole, the peaceful transition of power. By the way, that Savannah woman on the news is very attractive. The one that did the town hall with Trump, quite attractive, just saying. So, some people value this peaceful transition of power. Well, apparently that's not a value for Trump. We're learning that it's not, he doesn't seem to value that ethic or that morality stance to that bullet point. He didn't get the memo, folks. What the fuck else? I don't know. Just so many dicks in the ass of life that it's hard to know what's fucking you. But I'm just here to comment and commentary and so on and so forth. For me, some of you, I'm going to segue into pro wrestling fan. As the angry pro wrestling fan for the last 3 or 4 years, part of my motif has been to save the wrestling fan from himself. Usually it's a he, occasionally it's a she. I've been looking out for the wrestling fan, trying to wake them up to reality a little bit. But at the same time, I struggle with the wrestling. I feel like the AA member who goes into the bar handing out pamphlets, but stops to have a shot at the bar while he's in there. So yes, my ethic might be I'm trying to save the wrestling fan from himself. Well, guess the fuck what? Maybe some of these wrestling fans don't give a flying fuck. They don't want to be saved. Or this is their one thing that they go to as a safety place from the trials and tribulations of their bad marriage, their lousy kids, their horrible job, whatever the fuck it is. And here's Messier trying to wake them up to a higher consciousness, and they're not built for that. So that's a lesson that I learned, folks. Now, look, here's the thing. I don't silence myself. If the world wants to put a fucking bullet in my brain and silence me, then I guess it will. But I don't silence myself, for better or for fucking worse. Oh boy, what the fuck else? It's kind of funny, one of these acting groups I'm in, a gentleman shared in an acting Facebook group, he shared a Trump speech today, and he wrote, "That's my president," and people went right after him like, "Hey, this is not the place for your politics, buddy." And I mean, look, yes, I thought it was wrong. Yes, I thought he deserved the feedback. At the same time, I know the gentleman in question, and I got a gentle chuckle out of it because that's him. That's him. Same thing with Trump. Look, I didn't vote for him. I did not. But we can't lie. I won't lie and say that the motherfucker is do I want to use the term fascinating or funny? Or morbidly curious? I mean, he's a personality fucking T. You have to give him that. I mean, you can't say that the motherfucker wasn't entertaining for 4 years. And like I said, I've said it in other videos, I'll say it now. Trump, if nothing else, his presidency is the wake-up call. The AOCs and the other fucks who came out of this Trump term, they were begotten because this gentleman, in their view, was in the White House and they had to do something about it. So that's when you get your AOCs and all this other stuff. Have you seen, you probably have, the AOC College Breakfast Club video? Very attractive woman. And look, folks, I mean, The same thing I said about Savannah on the news. There is this thing, and we have to admit to it, we have to cop to it as people, that if a woman is attractive, we're more likely to listen to her. You know what I mean? I think, I could be wrong, but if you see like an AOC and she's talking smart, then you're talking smart. That's the fucking redneckiest thing I've said all day. But then you pay attention more to her because she's beauty and the brains. If she was average looking, you probably wouldn't give a fuck. Watch that AOC video, that documentary, The Walls, whatever the fuck it was, The House, because AOC was the most physically attractive runner candidate, and she won, and these other women who maybe were not as cosmetically gifted did not win. You tell me if that's a coincidence. You tell me. The Savannah lady, I mean, look, hey folks, I'm not the one hiring these people, but you always see like these wispy Savannahs and whoever the fuck else is. Do you see a bulky woman on there? Not really. Not on the nightly news. On some of the talk show panels you might. But when it's an audience that's men and women, it's always some leggy woman with her legs popping out of her dress, some guy in a suit. The woman's always wearing a dress with her legs. And you tell me what the fuck is going on. I don't make these rules. I just make these observations, people. So don't, it's the same thing with the wrestling assholes. I'm the one pointing out the facts. I'm the one seeing these trends and patterns and developments, and people want to kill the messenger. Why? Because they're too fucking lazy to kill the message. Oh, the fuck, what else? Okay, so I'll tell you a little life lesson, a little life anecdote. I was just in a fucking coffee bistro, coffee house, and I'm doing my goddamn thing. I'm having a nice podcast, and some fuck starts talking to me, and I'm sure he's a kind gentleman. And then he starts talking to me. Next thing you know, he's telling me he just got out of jail, and his friend was supposed to meet him. And I'm like, okay, here we go. This mofo fuck is going to try and get some money out of me, or get a place to sleep for the night, or get a fucking ride somewhere. And it's like, okay, mother of fuck, I just want to do my goddamn business. I'm not trying to be a prick. I'm not denying that your life has got an issue right now. I just want to do my own thing. I can't figure out your problems. I'm not in a situation where I can figure out your problems. I have my own difficulties to figure out, you fuck. So please take your fucking show on the road. Leave me the fuck alone. And you try not to be a fucking prick in this world. You try to be a nice asshole. But the reality of the fucking matter is this. Do I have time to figure out this guy's problems? The answer is no. Now, it would have been nice if the coffee gentleman had stepped in and said, excuse me, kind sir, are you bothering us, our most loyal patron here, meaning me? That did not happen, folks. I do wish that folks, namely business owners, would sometimes protect their customer base from these people. And look, I'm not trying to shit on anyone's parade of champions, but you get to, sometimes you wonder, is this person really suffering hard times like Dusty Rhodes before Stargate 85? Or is the motherfucker conjuring a myth, a story, in order to hustle me, if possible? And I felt very awkward. I felt very uncomfortable because the guy seemed to be staring a hole in my spirit, looking at me too much. And I really wanted to use the facilities, meaning the restroom, but I was afraid to do so because if I did, I'd be leaving my wonderful bags and my information, my books and so forth. And, you know, some asshole might say, oh, just take your books into the bathroom. I don't play that game. So I had to pack up all my shit and leave the coffee house early because this fuck was giving me a weird vibe. There you fucking have it. Of course, I didn't mention he was like yelling at me or telling me things across the coffee house, and I'm trying to mind my own business. And look, folks, I get it. You're supposed to be nice to everybody. You're supposed to help everybody out. Blah, blah, blah. Does anyone actually fucking do that? The answer is no. There's so many things that we say in practice or in theory love thy neighbor, help the other guy, turn the other cheek. We do none of that shit, folks. Not just the biblically minded, but everybody. All the things that we say we do, we don't do. You know what I mean? I mean, if you really wanted to be this person, like your fucking memes and your hashtags, kindness first. Well, okay, did you leave the house this morning with a bag full of canned goods and spare change and go to the homeless shelter and feed everybody? You did not do that. You did not. So don't fucking tell me all these wonderful things. Everybody, look, I'm sure there are people that are doing volunteer work and so forth. But for the most part, most of us assholes don't. Or if we do, it's once a fucking year. So let's not kid ourselves with a false degree of moral highness. We're all a bunch of self-involved fucks. Now we're dealing with the goddamn coronavirus and its little friend, election 2020. So there you fucking have it, folks. I had a nice day. I don't know if I got off. I did see a film today. I can mention that. I saw the fucking movie, the Scream horror movie. To be honest, folks, it doesn't do much for me. I hate to say it. There are some attractive women: Drew Barrymore, Neve Campbell. What happened to her? Rose McGowan. So sad to watch the movie with Rose McGowan and then see the Weinstein brothers' names on the credits. So sad, because that bad things might have happened. It's a great movie, though. So, was it a great movie? Actually, it did great box office. I particularly didn't like it, to be honest with you. Scream. I've seen it before. For whatever the fuck reason, it just feels like a bunch of kids getting slashed up by a monster. You fucks.